This episode is brought to you by O2, the official recovery drink of the Noble CrossFit Games. For more information, you can use the QR code or you can click the link in the show notes below.
What's up, everybody? We've got another great episode coming at you today. Best hour of their day and a fantastic guest, Lindsey McDuffie, owner of CrossFit Hendersonville. You're going to hear all about how she's created just this amazingly wonderful, fantastical, excellent, how many adjectives can I use in one sentence, community here. And it's all about giving back to her community. And more importantly, I want you guys listening, box owners and coaches, this is what it's all about, taking care of your staff. You're going to hear all about that in this episode. Lindsey's doing things right. And not to mention her box is amazing. Listen to this episode, but then tune in Friday because we've got our dropping in episode where Fern and I crush the workout. Huge box. It's beautiful, fantastic community. Listen into this episode. We really hope when you listen to these episodes, when we sit down with affiliate owners, that whether you're an affiliate owner, you're a coach, or a member, you can take something from it. Affiliate owners, listen in on what some of these world-class affiliates are doing and figure out what you can implement. Coaches, listen in from the perspective of what can I do better to give back to my community. And members, I want you listening as far as how can I be the best member possible at my CrossFit affiliate? Because as we know, for most people, CrossFit affiliate is like their home away from home. For many people, it's their preferred home. But what can we do to be better members, better coaches, and better owners at our affiliates? This is what it's all about. Before you listen, please, if you haven't already, leave us a review, head over to our YouTube channel, give us a subscribe, give us a like I asked for in a previous episode, shoot us some comments. I love reading through all the comments. I'm the one responding to most of them, but I like to know what you guys enjoyed about the episode, what we can do better. I told you before, we grow from feedback. Leave me feedback. I'm impenetrable to being offended. Look, I've been working with Fern for nearly 10 years now, and he can't offend me. So Fern can't offend me. I can promise you, you can't offend me. I want your feedback in the comments, but also leave us a review if you're listening to this episode, wherever you're listening, Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, all those platforms, please drop us a review. Super helpful. It really helps us out. All right. Enough of the rambling, enough of the requests, enough of the asks. We love you guys, and we hope you enjoy this episode.
Welcome to the Best Hour of Their Day podcast with your hosts, Jason Fernandez
and me, Jason Ackerman. With more than 20 years in the business,
as both coaches and affiliate owners,
our passion is to help create world-class affiliates
and coaches by building
better boxes. Welcome to
the best hour of your day.
Welcome back. Best hour of their day. Special guest, Lindsey McDuffie, owner of CrossFit Hendersonville, fourth most signups in the CrossFit Open.
In the world.
In the world, number one in the U.S.
Yeah. Number one in the U.S.
Only country that counts.
Down for the U.S.
Only country that counts.
Who beat you? Who beat you? You said a box in Spain?
Yes. There
Do you
were
know where
two
in
boxes
Spain?
in Spain. I don't
Two
know where.
gyms in Spain?
Spain's.
I feel like there's a plan here.
And then there was maybe somewhere else in Europe, I believe.
How far behind were you? Could you have overtaken them?
No.
It was that big.
So there was like this big challenge within our gym, and there were some bets going on if we were the top in the world. And at one point, I was like, we just got to let them go. We found out they had 4 locations.
That's a
and
little.
it just wasn't fair.
That's
not
a little
like,
fair.
Listen,
yeah.
I'm super happy they have 4 locations. However, that's
great.
cheating. Yeah.
But just not fair. So I said, okay, let's just be first in the U.S.
And how many did you have in total?
288.
Wow.
Which
288.
The year before, they got all fired up about it again because the year before, I believe we landed at 204. And that was the first year that during like the open show, they threw up the boxes of and the affiliates that had the most.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And we were like, oh man, our name's up there. Like how cool. We didn't know. I think we were at 204. And so then this year we got to 288.
It's like grandma's boy is like, high score. Is that good? You're like, you're winning and you don't even know it.
Overall winners is bad.
How many members do you have?
So we have 305.
So you had nearly 100%.
crazy?
Well,
Like
I mean, are you?
95%?
That's
you have-
crazy.
How do those 15 people that didn't do it
listen,
feel?
we
What's
want
that about?
those people on the
Yeah.
podcast right
Let's-
now.
let's bring them in one at a
explain
time.
yourselves.
What was that
I would
about? Like,
love
how do
that.
they not?
I would love that.
How do they not do it?
You know, there's just a few special circumstances. I was
All
happy with
affiliate
the two
owners
of
know
you.
what that means. You don't even have to
Right,
elaborate.
right.
You're
We'll
like,
still call it
says
special circumstances.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's actually amazing.
Like 90. Let me do the math real quick. 97.4%.
that's not accurate, but we'll all assume that it is. Yeah.
That's great. And overall, who did the best? I know you pointed out one of the youngsters that's made it to the games in the past.
Right.
Anybody else make it to the next round? Or
Yes. So we have 3 guys competing this weekend for the Masters quarterfinal.
this will be after that, but
Yeah.
certainly
What age groups are that? What age group masters?
They are 2 and 35 to 39. And
2
then
years
1 in the
old.
40 to
2 years
44.
old. Is that what you just said? No, that's
2 guys
Oh,
in the
2.
35 to
Keep up.
39.
Keep up. Yeah.
I was like, they got a new division that I didn't know about. I got to get Madison.
If you're
in it.
wondering why the company's struggling to take off, you know
It's
what the problem is.
yeah. I think
So you
they're
got
about
2 in the
10.
35, so they must be pretty fit because that 35 division is like a step away from the elites.
1 step away.
Well,
They're
I mean,
right
it's,
there.
it's very close.
Yeah.
And then what was the?
They're all 5 a.m. dudes too. There's 3 old guys at 5 a.m. that are
old guys. You
throwing
said
down.
35s. That's younger
It's
than all of
Masters.
us right
That's
here.
true.
It's Masters. We can
My
call
feelings
them.
are hurt.
They own it. I'm
Wow.
in that category too.
Have you made it to the games?
I went on with
Oh.
the team in 2011. So CrossFit
Nice.
Murfreesboro on the other side of town.
That's where we're staying in the haunted house. You heard of it? Are you familiar with
Not
it?
actually CrossFit Murfreesboro. We're staying in a haunted
No,
house.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're not
In
saying at this
Murfreesboro.
box.
Okay,
yeah.
thanks for clarifying.
We have some money in the budget for Airbnb. But yeah, we're saying in Murfreesboro.
Okay.
Marcus is convinced the house is haunted.
It's a fact. Have
There's
you ever
like
been to
dolls
the
up
haunted?
in
Have you ever
the
been to
front room.
Disneyland?
Yes.
You've been to the haunted mansion?
Yeah.
It's literally where we're staying.
You gotta
They have a
you gotta
location in
rebook.
Murfreesboro.
Like we've,
Not literally.
we've got people with houses out here who can come and stay.
Yeah.
So you made it as a team member at Murfreesboro.
Right.
How'd you guys do?
20th-ish. So that was the first year. That was fun. That was the first year. I think that
That's-
Reebok jumped in.
That's where you went wrong. You had fun at the game.
I know, right?
It's supposed
Yeah.
to be a competition.
It's a serious
And that was the time where you didn't even get to the 3rd day. Like,
Oh, you got cut.
You got cut.
Yeah.
Like, sorry,
So I
losers,
did a
go
couple
home.
workouts out in.
Doing a workout
Out
in
in
the
LA.
parking lot.
Yeah.
So you were part of that box.
Actually, I would just go train out there.
Oh, you're one of those
yeah,
people.
yeah.
You
I'm
own this
Murfreesboro.
affiliate?
I think we refer to those as special circumstances.
Yeah. Hey, I'm the LOR for CrossFit, but I'm training at this box.
Yeah. So 2011, and then 12, 13, just did regionals.
You made it to regionals
Mm-hmm.
as an individual. That's a big deal.
And
Fern, I
then
don't know if you ever heard of Fern.
is he a regional guy
Yeah.
too?
He's a
Neither,
regional-
boss hasn't heard of me either. But
I don't know if you're familiar with a guy named Ben Smith.
Oh, yeah. Can I
Fern
know?
beat him in a workout.
just one.
Just
but
one.
it is on
You're
the record
elite.
books though.
He
It
is
is on the
elite.
record
Look
books.
it
You
up.
can
Elite.
find it. You can find it. Place tire.
Yeah, that guy's kind of fit.
You're going to be surprised when we work out later at this steep decline.
Not impressed. Surprised.
Yeah, there's a very big difference. But and then you went to regionals twice as an individual.
Yeah. The most fun, I think, when right after we moved in this box, actually, we moved in May. At the end of May, we went to regionals. That was when they came to Nashville. So we did a team in 2017, 2018. So that was fun because it was kind of like this box was brand new to us. And then we got to take a team over to, just downtown. It's
cool.
cool when the regionals are in your city.
Yeah, that's really
So it's
cool.
kind of why we jumped in and kind of formed a team. So we did that, competed on the team in 17, 18.
Was Donovan Degree on that team?
He was on the team in 17, and then they went
Got
to
it.
fours in 18.
And he
So
didn't
then
make
Donovan
it.
got cut.
God, yeah,
Donovan,
really.
for
Sorry,
those-
Donovan.
Donovan's
You're out, buddy.
no longer
The-
on seminar
The
staff.
old seminar
I don't
staff
think so.
friendship.
Yeah.
He resigned
anymore.
because he got a really sweet job from
Yeah.
what I remember, and he's got a wife and a kid
Another
on
baby
the way.
on the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he was from what he's told me, I don't know if it's true. He showed Froning CrossFit. Is that true?
He was in Cookville
He was in
when
Cookville?
Froning was getting into
Yeah.
it.
I don't know if that's. I
That's
mean, it
what he
might be.
says.
It might be, but there's a. I don't know. Rich has 97 cousins, so there might be like some sort of connection there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, he's been in the game for a hot minute. So that's what you guys are currently doing. I want to go back and talk about how you guys ended up here because this place is
Yes.
beautiful.
Awesome.
This is
Thank you.
amazing.
Talk about the elephant in the room, which is the
12,000
room.
12,000
It's awesome.
square feet.
Beautiful facility.
Yeah, and part of why we also came in in conjunction with how great this spot is you hosted an open event this year because you were the biggest or most represented box in the country.
Right. For
yes,
startups.
so you couldn't have done that without this amazing space.
Right.
So tell us all about it.
That was really cool to have them come in here because, those guys have traveled the world too. And they said if they could design any sort of box to do an open announcement, like this is what they would design. So that was really neat to have them come in.
So speak on that. Did you design this?
We did.
Was this built for CrossFit Hendersonville?
We did, just for CrossFit Hendersonville. So I affiliated in 2009, and we had 1,000 square feet for a couple of years.
In the area?
Yeah, 2 miles away.
Okay.
We actually started in a church recreation facility. I literally started on the gym floor. And there was this like rock climbing room that I'd be able to like have some equipment, have like 4 or 5 athletes.
Guys, do some pull-ups on those rocks.
Right, right. We got like grip strong. So then I talked the guys that ran the recreation facility into giving me a room that the church actually used for like Sunday school. So we completely
no more Jesus for your kids. We got to do our fitness.
CrossFit.
Put those Bibles away. Get the dumbbells out.
So that was like 1,200 square feet maybe upstairs at this church recreation facility.
Upstairs?
Yeah,
so
upstairs.
You couldn't drop stuff.
Oh, but we did. We made the old, the old guy, what they play, pool?
Yeah.
The old like 70, 80, 90-year-olds would come in to that center at like, 8, 9 in the morning to play their pool, and they would get so mad. Bar would drop and then mess their shot up.
You weren't doing it during the sermons, were you? Like that'd be opportune time?
So we didn't run class on Sundays during sermons.
Yeah,
so then we jumped. It was actually just half a mile. We did one of the, I'm sure a lot of boxes have experienced this, like everybody moved the equipment.
Yeah.
So we did like a little 800 meter. I mean, it was a pretty short distance to the other gym. And that was tiny, and we grew out of that really quick. So it was like 2,200 square feet. So we were looking for space. We drove up, we call this hill Big Bertha, because it's a pretty good hill to run with some 400s, 800s, that hill right there. So
we drove, so we wouldn't know.
We drove up Big Bertha.
We're not going to find out.
Okay, we can add that into y'all's workout.
That's a great idea.
Little Big Bertha run. So we were going to buy a spot over here on the hill. And by the time you cleaned that up, it was a couple $100,000. And then we drove up here to turn around. This is a cul-de-sac up here. And my husband's buddy owned the lot. So we're like, hey, let's just explore this for a minute. So after being in the CrossFit world, running a box and affiliate for, I guess I was at 8 years at that point, kind of knew what I wanted. But it's actually been what works and what I wanted. So it's cool. Like, you build something and it's yours. You're like, man, I really hope this works. But I really wouldn't change a lot. I would set it up almost the exact same if I had to do it over.
Now that you've been here a few years, what would you change?
So wall space, we're definitely lacking.
Yeah.
We keep buying ergs. So at our gym, people get excited. We kind of do like a Christmas present every year. So we always bring in like, this last year we did 5 new ski ergs, 5 new bike ergs.
Nice.
Wow.
So we kind of have just added every year since 2017. We're getting to the point where I would like to have a rig here, and another couple hundred or a couple thousand square feet.
A second rig.
Maybe like 14, 15, another rig, a little bit more wall space. But that's just, that's spoiled. Like, we just got to move the ergs off the wall. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But like if you...
We could just move them. You're like, nope, we need a new building.
Yeah, right?
We need to expand again.
I mean, things that we are very blessed to have this sort of space.
What is your average class size?
I would say 20 to 25.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so even with all these ergs, oftentimes you're going to need to modify.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, you're right. You can fit that many people on the rig, but maybe if you're squatting or something.
Yeah, 24 spots, like with room.
So I want to go back a little bit. So you went from 1,000, 1,200, 2,500 into this facility from 2,500.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the 2,500 because I want to know what that looked and felt like versus so what is your total square footage here? What's your total footprint?
12,000. So 8,000 floor space.
600% increase in space. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So what did that look like when you were in 2,500 square feet?
So we definitely have to cap, classes. And I still, that's how I want to run the box. We still do that here. Like, we're all about some quality coaching. But it was, have you ever, I don't know what the book is called, The Tipping Point?
Yeah.
So
tipping point.
He likes to talk about it a lot.
We've hit a few tipping points along the way.
Malcolm Gladwell, yeah.
And so we grew that box at 2,500 square feet to 225 athletes.
225 members.
So we were running a lot of classes.
That's
crazy.
And
jam-packed.
we were pretty jam-packed. And we hit the tipping point, and the space became an issue.
What was the tipping point?
So when we got to 225, because of space mainly, we dropped back down to 185. And that's when we were like, okay, we really got to hustle to find some space.
And when you say you dropped back down,
So membership-wise.
but I mean, were they just thinking this is too crowded?
Yeah.
So they felt it.
Yeah, the atmosphere was not what we were going for. And I mean, we felt it before they did. We knew it was coming, but like, what do you do? I was stuck in a lease.
That's a great point, though, for box owners to hear. There's a potential that you're going to get so big it negatively impacts.
Yes.
You lost 40 members.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Do you think you recouped a lot of them when
Yes.
you relocated?
I think that's mostly the community. The people in our classes and our coaches, they're just good people and good friends. So it has been cool. We've actually, since the open announcement, people kind of saw the energy and the atmosphere is still here and the community is still the same.
FOMO.
We've had a few come back
Yeah.
FOMO.
since 22.3.
So logistically, how many when you're in that? Because that's a lot of people in that footprint. How many classes a day are you running at that point?
So we were running 5 in the morning.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Well, like 5, 6, 7,
and
8,
5.
9.
We were running 10.
10.
Yeah.
That's typically that's what I will always recommend. I'm like, 10 is when you've maximized the hours in the day and the square footage. Right. Now you should look at it like finding it or expanding it.
Because you think like, oh, there's 14 other hours, but no one's coming into your 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Correct.
Well, the conversation will typically come up and they're like, hey, we need a new space. So my first question is, how many classes a day are you running? And they're like, 5. And I'm like, you don't need a new space. You
More
need
classes.
to need to continue to grow because those people will naturally start to move around in the schedule. I think we all assume that people only have these hours of the day available. They will move things around.
Yeah.
And they will figure it out to make the classes work. And 10 tends to be that number. I'm like, if you're maxing out floor space capacity 10 times a day and you still have a problem, now the space is an issue.
Well, those secondary kind of tier classes, so like your 2 p.m., 3 p.m., they just take longer to fill. They just don't fill as fast as your 6 a.m. and your 6 p.m. You just have to be more patient. Give it that extra like 2 years to let that like fully flesh out. Now you've got a cause. You've earned your upgrade.
Right. Yeah, I don't think we run 8, but I don't think that noon and 3 for us we're really like constantly have like 10, maybe 12 people in them until probably like the 175 mark members wise, where it's just like we were never worried about that class being full anymore. Like there was always bodies that were going to be jumping in there. So
yeah, there's always the class time that's like the potpourri, if you will, the morning people, the afternoon. Kind of when I miss my class, that's the class I go to.
Yeah.
So maybe the noon for you. You said you cap classes at 25.
Yes.
Do you hit that often here?
Oh yeah, here. Well, that was at the other gym. We actually could fit 24 barbells safely
on
At
and
the
at
other
2,500 square feet at the other
because
place.
it's about 100
Yeah.
square feet a person.
So our numbers here, we 30. I mean, we have assistant coaches and stuff floating in, but much more than that.
yeah.
It definitely happens every now and again, but it's tough.
And we're going to take class with one of your newest coaches.
Yes.
What's that process like here?
The internship.
Yeah.
It's different. So we had a coaches meeting. We're going over the CrossFit nutrition course, and I kind of gathered the coaches. We did that this morning, and I was telling them 2 of the coaches interned with us last year, and I was explaining to them how it's really different for every person that comes in and interns, depending on their experience. So the 2 recent coaches we just hired were in PT school. So they just got their doctorate in January. They work with Onward Tennessee, and they work with ICE, Institute of Clinical Excellence. So their internship process was, they were like studs. They were like 10 steps ahead of where I was when I started
They
coaching.
were teaching you about anatomy. You're like, hey, no.
But they
Like,
also just
that's
had
not
this.
actually the knee, but nice try. Yeah.
Which I love, but they had this like confidence and presence about them. So theirs was they had 1 hour a day, 12 days a week. And it was kind of this gig, an internship.
12 days a week?
No, 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Listen, I take things seriously here at Hendersonville.
If
This
you're
is why
not
we're
ready
here.
to commit to 12 days a week, you can't coach here.
12 weeks.
How they create these athletes.
That's how we got to 288. Our numbers expand.
We bill you
exponentially.
12 days a week.
So they did 1 class a day, 5 days a week, not 12 for
But that's
12
a lot.
weeks.
That's 60 free classes, or I'm assuming you're not paying them at this point. Yeah.
Right. And so then 2/3 of the internship was at the clinic. So this is the first. This is, physical therapy, especially with the ICE crew. They're using CrossFit to treat people.
That's cool.
And so it's really, it was a neat experience for them because they were finishing up their schooling. And so they got to do 2/3 in the clinic and then a third here, like learning how to coach and really like use their treatment in a group class setting. They loved it. We really enjoyed it. So we had one of them for July through September and then October through December. And so we hired them both on in January. Now, the coach that you'll be coached at with in an hour, Maddie. She's coached at 2 other boxes before.
Okay.
So she's going through a 6-week internship, but she has 3 classes a day. So it's more like
expedited.
She just left her job. She's got the time. It is go hardcore. And that's how it was with Donovan, actually, too. When we brought him on, he coached here full time. That was like 2012, 13, 14.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
So when somebody has experience, we kind of, and they've got time, we put it all together.
That's an interesting, so I think there's a lot of boxes that are too rigid with the intern process and they're not factoring like who this person is coming. They're like, nope, you got to do this 6 months. And I'm like, this person is a level 3. Like,
they're a doctor.
Right. Yeah. Doctor. Yeah. No, I think they're good. Yeah. So I think that's so, and we switched ours maybe like 2 years ago as well, which is like, if they're good enough, just get them in here and then teach them how the stuff works.
Yeah.
Not like how to coach a class. Like we can tune all that stuff up. So that's cool to hear.
Fern has a great internship process at his box, Rife. And we've talked numerous times about having to tell people they haven't made the team. Have you had to deal with that here at Hendersonville?
I have not. I have
you think you're too loose with the people you're
If you apply here, you got the job.
I'm actually really, really picky, and I don't offer that internship gig up.
So it's more about
once I say yes, let's intern. I'm pretty serious about who you are and where.
Have you said no to people to intern?
Yeah, so that's what I've said no to.
Yeah.
What's that look like? Like, what would somebody have to do, or is it just 'cause like they're smelly, like stuff like that?
Can we do a mock real quick? Can you tell
Their
Jay?
body odor.
So Jay's
I'm
asking.
very interested. I'm a level 4 CrossFit coach. I'm a doctor.
Yes. You're a doctor.
I am
you can't throw that out there.
Well, he's not. So this is when you ask him for his references.
Yeah. But I'd like to intern here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. There's nothing available. See you later. No, I'm
Nice.
just kidding. No.
Listen, I appreciate your candidness there.
I didn't
No,
want to work here anyway.
I have been known to be just like blunt and to the point. That's how I kind of coach in class. But I usually have a relationship with them. Usually they're just not like walking up off the street.
Right.
Usually they've been in class, they've been around, and really it comes from an honest place. Like we don't need anybody right now. Like and that's true. Really, the internship process is like I'm in need of somebody. So it's almost like I go out and find them rather than these coming to me.
I made that mistake early on when I would just tell anybody yes instead of maybe.
So
I was like, if I knew it wasn't going to work out, I was like, we'll give him a shot. And I was like, and then we have to have the super awkward conversation.
And you're better off just saying no ahead of
3
time.
months of our time.
You're better off just being like, nope, not for you.
Yeah. On the front end, if you know for any number of reasons this is not a good fit, then I think you should just be honest with the person. Just be like, hey, not a good fit. Now's not the right time. Like whatever that's going to be.
Maddie's actually like the first one that I don't know as much about.
Right.
So I'm having her sign a 3-month contract next week, and so
Okay.
it's just committed to.
We could decide for you.
Okay.
we're happy to do it.
We've done a lot of seminars.
Yeah, fill out a little eval after class. I'd appreciate it.
What's your CrossFit credential?
Just got L3 about a year ago, I think.
Congrats. Yeah.
Old school.
Yeah. What'd you think of the test? Easy?
Not too bad. You know, it's funny. It completely the computer froze for like an hour.
Oh, so you cheated.
In the middle of the class.
So what she's saying is I didn't need all 4 hours to take the test.
Did you lose it, or did they give you the extra? Did they give you that hour?
All of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but it came back on. It was the exact question. Like I didn't have to redo it. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to go through like I've been through half the test at that point. I was like, this can't be happening.
Wait, so do you just sit at that desk for an hour?
You couldn't leave. You know, like.
But did you like put your hand up like Proctor?
Exactly. Like Pearson View Center, they're serious. They're hardcore. Like, can't go to the bathroom, can't get water. You know, you just gotta sit there. So I was like,
man.
But then they give it to you. That's why I didn't. Like you walk out.
Yep.
You have
They're
it.
Like you're a loser. Here
I was
you go.
like, sweet.
It passed. And does anyone else here have that level 3?
No. Shannon downstairs, and then her husband, who you met, and then Chad coaches 5 a.m. They're up for it next year.
Okay.
Next year they're going to take it?
Cool.
Is there a requirement? Do you require obviously the L1, but do you require the L2?
Yes.
So even to intern?
No, not to intern.
Your staff has to be
just staff.
And do you help subsidize that cost?
Yes.
How much of it?
All of it.
Oh wow.
We didn't used to.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to cover the whole.
Is there a minimum that they have to hit for you to pay for it? In other words, so they're not here
hours wise.
Well, just so they don't come in, take the level 2 and leave.
Yeah. I've never had to deal with that.
Yeah. No, it's not a
They've
thing.
been here.
Everybody thinks it's a thing. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just not a scenario.
It's
like, what if? And I'm like, it's never
it
happened.
happens, but more so probably because, I didn't realize I was going to have to move or things
Okay.
like
Even
that.
still,
But-
wasn't that much money. And
Yeah.
okay.
So let me share something really like how we got to 288.
Yeah, let's
listen,
take over.
I was-
Why don't you take over the
Yeah.
podcast?
I was going to ask you a series of questions to get there, but you're leading.
It goes in with like the coaches thing. So I had 2 of them just went to focus on their ministries in the last 6 months, but I had 4 coaches that had been with me for a decade.
Wow.
Like I feel like y'all have been to a lot of boxes. I feel like that's pretty rare with CrossFit.
Unusual for sure.
So it's those 4 people along with myself that really they're like the captains of the community. And because there was so much relationship and so much like trust and friendship for all those years, for them being here this long, that's what really pours into the classes and the people. And then the people, rally. And there's a few class captains within each class that had, and I really give a lot of ownership to my coaches. Like Chad, that 5 a.m. is his gig. Like that's his team. And they're going to, because he's been around forever, they're going to rally behind him and whatever he asks them to do, sign up for the open. Yes, I'm all in. And so that's really how we got, people are like, how in the world did you get 95% of your gym to sign up?
97.4.
97.4, not 3.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So like, obviously you guys
That's
have
great.
grown from that 1,000 square feet into this facility, but I didn't realize you had Ford been here 10 years, but you had introduced Shannon. You had said that she's been here for 10 years. So obviously you're
along
doing,
with her husband.
you're doing some things right here, obviously to facilitate that growth, but more importantly, it wasn't a revolving door of staff in order to get here. And I would imagine that consistency has a lot to do with that.
I think it has everything to do with the signups in the community.
But
So more specifically on that, because we do get this question a lot, and sometimes I think the answer is obvious, but in many instances it's not, which is boxers want to know, how do I keep my coaches? How do I keep them happy? How do I keep them here? How do I grow them? How do I give them opportunities? So in your time as a box owner, what are some key things that you've learned in order to make sure that obviously you're creating opportunity for people, but that they want to be here?
So I'm very much live by what you preach. So I think the owner, the one asking them of stuff, like I've had to do it, I've had to live it, I've had to experience it, so they can rally behind me and somebody that's asking them to do work. But I've grown income and incentives and poured into them just as humans, not necessarily just as like the relationship goes past the job and workplace for us.
I think that's important. I was having a conversation with a group of our box owners in a small group, and that was one of the things I brought up is everybody's the idea of professional development seems to be very narrow in the CrossFit space. And I'm broadening that out. Like not just the Bergner workshops, not just aerobic capacity, not like what do they want as people? Like outside of that, how do they develop mindset? How do they develop like just as a person? That's why they'll come for the technical stuff. They'll stay for the personal growth.
Right.
yeah, it's when your vision and their vision can be combined is when you can create that longevity, because everyone has a vision of what they want their life to look like and where they're trying to go, even if it's pretty vague. If you can be the one to be like, well, what is it that you want? What is important to you? And they know what yours is, and you can tie the two together somehow. I think that is the foundation of that longevity, aside from leading by example and the integrity of doing that.
Like I was always a athlete on teams. Like I love the team sport.
I was going to ask you that. What's
individual.
your background training?
So volleyball in college and track and field just 1 year. But volleyball I played all 4 years.
All 4?
Small private school, Lipscomb in Nashville.
Okay.
And so the team aspect, like that's my favorite part of this gig. And to have that team that I've had for 10 years. And so now we're in a phase where I've just brought in 2 new coaches. Maddie might be the 3rd. So it's this kind of like fun, energetic, create another team.
They're the freshmen.
Let them run it for the next 10, 15 years. We'll see.
What's that? So you said it. What's that look like 10, 15 years from now that you want it to look like?
That extra little addition to the space, new location.
you would want a new location.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're almost at this tipping point again here.
What number you said you're at 288 now?
Yeah.
What number do you think
what's the tipping point?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Before you answer that
We're
question.
going to take a quick break, but I do
Okay.
want to come back to what that looks like for
Okay.
you. So
What's
we'll
the
be right
next
back.
point?
It's an interesting time in the CrossFit space right now, and coming up to a point where there's been a lot of business development folks in the space. But what's important about what we do is we are for CrossFit, by CrossFitters, and what we do is we develop affiliates.
I think I've told you guys this in the past as well, is like knowing what I know now and knowing that where we're at versus where we were at, I would have paid double.
And what's unique about what we do is we love this, we live this, and there's nothing that we would rather do. Other cool stuff, it is worth CEUs for you and your coaching staff. But outside of that, the goal for us is to get you to the next level as a CrossFit affiliate owner.
There's a point with box ownership that you can kind of start to begin to feel like you're spinning your wheels or burning out. And by joining Affiliate U, it's only helped create that happiness that I used to know and love in here, and it's trickled down even to our members as well. So it's very, very rewarding to see the enjoyment on everybody's face.
We're here to help you do that. If you guys have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're here for you. We know the anxiety involved with running an affiliate, getting burnt out, having somebody else selling you a product that you don't actually want to buy. That's not what we're about, okay? We're selling straight stick CrossFit. We are supported by CrossFit, first and only CrossFit approved affiliate development in the space. Hit us up, we'd love to work with you. So 288, what do you think your realistic growth potential here is?
I think 350
I like that.
to 375. So we we had 10 classes over the other spot, right? So we had capped that out, came over here, and really just wanted to settle into relationships in the community. I wasn't looking for a lot of growth when we came in here. We went from, 180 to, we'll call it 280. Just say add another 100. We're at right over 300 now.
Right.
But we kind of just settled into like really pouring into our community, developing those relationships. And so we don't have a 7 a.m. anymore. We don't have a 6 p.m. or a 7 p.m.
So your last class is 5 every day?
Yes.
That's
Get some
great.
easy ones
And
to
that
fill.
was because that was the core group of coaches. We were just kind of where we wanted to be. We had all age, kids, stuff like that. Like schedule-wise, it just kind of naturally happened too. So I will add back the 7 a.m., add back the 6 p.m. So there's already plans with the next coaches to come in to add those.
You made the decision to not put those in order to not crush your staff.
And
is what I'm
grow into
hearing.
them.
Yes. I am like,
I think I know why everybody
I want
stayed around
to
for
take,
10 years.
I want to take care of them so that they don't hit burnout.
This is a continual conversation that I don't think enough business owners or box owners specifically take into account. Is like all they hear is the squeaky wheels from the membership. They're like, well, we'll add 5 Sunday classes, and they're not prepared to stand up and say no, because you'll do it at the expense of your staff.
Right.
Yeah.
I have this hard rule, like 3 classes in a row. No, like I kind of took
3
that
is
away.
okay, or you don't
No,
go?
3 is not okay.
So 2 in a row.
So like
That's
2's
what we
okay.
talk about.
It's my goal to get 1 and then a done or a break. Like that would be
The energy is-
you can't
Show
match
up
it.
and smash.
You can't match it. And so that's also part of taking care of them. I know myself when I started the gig, I coached 5 in a row. I started at 5 a.m., 6, 7, 8, 9. Back
you
in
have
the
to,
08 days.
and then I think we take that and we're like, well, if I did it, then you have to do it, and it's like,
And I
well,
know.
no.
Well,
I
you
couldn't
did it
I couldn't
poorly.
sustain that.
It's like,
So I even know with myself, the 3rd class is much different.
also, coaching in 2008 was very different
Way-
than coaching in
way different.
2022.
If you're going to do it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 350 is about that.
Yeah.
And
So we'll add those 3 classes back in, and our membership will probably jump if we're holding about 20, 25 in class. And those classes aren't as hot of times as like a 4 p.m. or a 5 a.m. for us. They probably won't grow to the potential of our other normal classes, but with 50 people, 3 classes, that's what, 15ish.
Yeah, but I think that's where I was going to go with that. Is I think that's okay. I get kind of annoyed with this idea of operational capacity. Everybody's trying to get this very fixed number, and we have to max everything out. And this would be, in some instances, financially that might not make sense in order to spread everybody out. But from an experiential standpoint, it makes sense, at which point you will grow past that again. Right. So if you kind of lean things out with regard to how many people we have in the class, you're like, well, hey, let's add that class, even though it's going to cost us more in overhead and we got to pay some people to do that. I'm like, well, but if it's the right thing to do to create a better experience on the floor, well, then do that, because that in turn will then lead to more referrals, better experience, longer retention.
And retention.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
a huge thing.
Who's been your longest tenured member?
Our longest tenured member would be Doug Warren. He's been to okay, so this is cool. 5
Shout out
a.m.
to
guy.
Doug.
Shout out to Doug. When I first started, before I affiliated, I was just doing like going into the church recreation facility. Went to every gym in town. I was like, okay, where do I want to start this training gig? I was right out of college. So this was like May, right when I graduated.
08?
This was 08, yeah.
Okay.
So went around to every gym and then landed at the recreation facility because they were like, hey, it's almost like a tithe. So church, you pay us 10% of what you make. Could not come into a sweeter deal as like somebody's just starting off.
Right.
You're like, oh,
talk about
overhead's
like a
capped at 10%.
right?
Done.
Like holy cow,
That's
that
amazing.
could not have been easier. So there was a group of 10 guys that always worked out at 5 a.m. The fitness director was like, hey, if you want to get in and teach some people some CrossFit, start with these people. Start with this group of guys. They've been coming for 2 or 3 years. And so one morning I just woke up, introduced myself, was like, hey, can I coach you guys for like 2 months, teach you about CrossFit? And then they were bought in. And so I formed, my first class was actually 5 a.m. based off those dudes. And then Doug was part of that crew. So that's
He's
how
still
Doug
here.
is still
Very
here
beginning.
at 5 a.m.
14, 15 years
From
later.
08, September of 08, I believe.
Wow.
That's
When I used to
awesome.
like write down, their results on like paper
Oh, yeah. We
before whiteboards.
Oh, yeah.
I used to print out a logbook for
Yeah.
every new member. They're
So
writing
Doug's
their
name
score
is
down.
on there, and he's still, he's here
He's
at
still
5
coming in
a.m.
at 5 a.m.?
Yep, with Coach Chad. This is also crazy. Chad, who's Shannon's husband, he started training with me in 09, so he was an athlete. He started coaching 5 a.m., and he's coached 5 days a week, which I don't know if there's any other guy in the CrossFit world, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week since 2015, 16.
And
it
he
doesn't
has
matter.
a full-time
And he has
career.
a full-time job. He works.
We need to get Chad.
He
an
works
award.
from home.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't beat. What other gym has that?
He wins the Steady Eddie Award.
Yeah, he does.
I tell him, I was like, I don't know if anybody could be put up against you for 5 a.m. consistency.
That is impressive. And
So those are the kind of people that have helped. I mean, when you have a guy that shows up 5 days a week at 5
I
a.m.
think like Fern said to you, it is very cyclical. You have these great people because you're doing a great job, and then the people stick around, become leaders themselves.
Yeah.
I assume you're closed on Sundays.
We have open gym
Open gym. When else do you
class.
have open gym?
Saturdays. So I actually don't do a class on Saturday. I
Ooh.
dropped that. Yeah.
Novel idea.
I dropped that last summer. We'll probably add it back at some point. But I wanted to take care of my coaches. I didn't want them to. I wanted to have
So when you
some
say
time off.
Open gym on Saturday, Sunday, literally just doors open,
Yep.
fend for yourselves, or somebody
Yes.
supervising?
No. Most of the time there's a coach here, but
But it's not their
but
responsibility.
it's not their responsibility.
That's great. So all
So
your
that-
coaches have baked in 2 days off, no matter what.
Correct.
That's good.
And so that was my gig. I took the Saturday morning. I have 3 kids, and they started getting into sports and stuff. So I was just like, hey, this is a season where I need to drop that. I know it'll be added at some point. So now we actually, at that time too, Saturdays just weren't hot. Like classes and stuff flows over
Right.
the years. And at that point, it wasn't a big deal business-wise to drop it. So, we'll add it back in at some point. But
You make
we actually
good
just the open
choices.
gym.
Yeah.
Good choices.
Yeah.
Your priorities. You got to take care of people. I got to take care of my family and my crew too, But I do it. I care about the 300 for sure. But I know we have to take care of the crew of coaches to be able to continue. to care
I think
for
you're
others.
doing it the right way. I'm like you could do both. This is I firmly believe there's not a ton that you couldn't take from the level 1 and then apply it in some other context, like technique and intensity. You can facilitate growth and not smash all of the people involved in the growth, and that would be the ideal scenario.
It's a choice.
Yeah, you can do that, and you could do it, and you could hit 350. So this is something that I always hear about. But like, I don't want 300 members, and maybe they don't, right? I'm not saying that they do or they don't, but my contention is, if they could do it, and the staff was happy, and they were happy, and you had an awesome community, I don't believe you.
I bet you. Exactly.
I bet you would.
Yeah, totally.
I bet you would take 350, 100%. And I think a lot of them is they just don't know how to do it. They're just like, I have an assumption about what 350 means and what that would look like, and I believe it's wrong. And this is a cool conversation for me to talk to you about, because I think every gym I'm going to say something ridiculous like Jay likes to do most of the time.
An absolute statement.
I'm going to throw an absolute statement
Speaking
on that.
absolutes.
I do think every gym can have 3. I think every CrossFit affiliate could have 300 people. I think there's enough need. I think there's enough need, and I think there's enough people that want to do it. I think there's just a lack of understanding of like what that would take. Like you've covered many things in this conversation that fall in the care bucket. Like you are looking out for your members, your community, and your staff. So it's a foregone conclusion at this point that you're going to get to 350. Just like how long is the question?
So well, how many times? I mean, let's be honest. We've seen this 100 times. It happened to me. I know it happened to you. And what you described, where you hit a threshold and it started to break.
Right.
And you're like, oh shit, and it retracts a little bit, and you have to refigure it out and grow. You have to learn what am I not doing or what's missing here to get back to that. And to many people, to feel that regression. It was hard enough to get there. They're tired because it was a slog to get there. And then now they're like, well, that sucked. So it's not for me. I've failed or I've lost. And now they'll just say, well, I'll accept the smaller version, or I need to change the model completely because see, it doesn't work, rather than just sticking with it and saying, well, what can I learn from this? What do I need to change? Because you're absolutely right. You totally can continue to grow it and scale the quality and the attention. And people who tell you otherwise just don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And it's a slower process. I think it's an impatience issue.
Well, because I think and this is my question to you is, there's the idea that like at every level there's another devils, right? So in my experience, on average, there's these natural sticking points about every 75 people that you layer into the equation as far as your member base. So 75, open your doors as long as you don't, light the building on fire, you get to 75. 150 requires some things. To get to 225 requires some things. 300 requires some things. What's your experience there, and what have been some of those sticking points that you're like figured it out, made it to the next level?
Yeah, I would even say like 50s. So like within the first year of just teaching CrossFit and before I affiliated, so from 08 to 09, it was just like Lindsey doing personal training, small group stuff. And I grew a base of 50 clients. And so then affiliated in 09, and then within the next year, it grew another base of 50. I've always kind of been like a chunk of 50s. And so when we moved to the next spot, the second spot, that 150 was when I actually brought on my first full-time salary guy, Donovan, and his buddy Tate. So that was when it was like next level. Okay, I think a tipping point as like a trainer, like the amount of athletes I want to have and really take care of, if we're talking about that word care, is somewhere in that 50 to 75 mark. So I've got to have another person, another human that can help pour in. And that's kind of always what how I've wanted to be able to maintain the care and be able to maintain, the relationships with the community. And so that was a big, okay, I need some coaches that are going to help really be here, put in some hours and take care of some people, because I'm tipped out. Falling off.
Where do you think you learned that, though? I think that's such a unique skill, and it's almost. Do you think it's innate? Do you think was it taught you? Like, you can be the best business person in the world and not take care of the right people, and your business will fail. So where does that come from in you specifically? Yeah,
just on a day-to-day basis, like realizing that I don't have time or the energy to reach out when I needed to send a message to somebody. Or if I needed, when I got to the point of being stressed, like I love CrossFit, I love coaching, like I'm still passionate about this 15 years later. But when I myself like started to feel stressed or that I couldn't do something, that's when I was like, okay, I'm getting, like I want to take care of more than 50 or so, but I literally can't. And so it's just like this day-to-day sort of learning process.
How many classes are you still coaching?
Actually, wow, you're bringing up a hard question right now. So with the internship that Maddie just started,
I hope you say what I think you're going to say.
0, but two classes a week that are my kids' classes. Nope.
Just some random kids walking on their hands?
All 3 of my kids take the kids' class, and so we do that Monday, Wednesday. So I'm technically coaching 2 classes a week for the first time ever, and I don't have any...
Do you like that?
I was going to say, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about it? Okay.
So I didn't open the gym to run a business, as I would assume most affiliate owners, especially that started back in the day. I just wanted to do it to coach. The business thing just kind of kept falling into my lap, and I kept making moves because people loved it, and I loved coaching CrossFit. Let's just add some more people. And I don't ask me in like 3 months. I don't know.
I think you're going to be like, this is awesome.
I don't know.
I'll tell you, I haven't coached in a while. And
Yeah.
it's not that
I just
bad.
think that's the coolest
I
part
do
about
miss it,
CrossFit.
though. I do miss it, though.
Someone like Lindsey opens up by coaching at a church. 10 years later, 12,000 square feet. I mean, anyone can make this happen with the right
Intention.
intention. The intention's a great word. And obviously you care about the methodology. And I mean, we've talked about before, like you walk in here, it's a CrossFit.
Yes.
Like that's the main thing is the main thing.
And that's what we've dabbled in some specialty stuff, but like CrossFit works.
You
Like,
say dabbled because you probably thought it was a good idea and realized quickly
you can
it wasn't.
grow a 300 plus member gym without all the
In the
classes
car
and the
ride
boot
on the way
camp
here.
and the like.
We were literally just having this
Like,
conversation.
we just do CrossFit. When we opened here, I like had all these different programs on the website, and I've stripped our website down to hardly anything. Like we just do CrossFit, and
You
it works.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Focus on the main thing. Take care of the people. That's like literally my next book.
Yeah.
Is what I'm gonna write.
just
it.
one picture.
That's it.
No,
It's
but
a
like
picture book.
we have weightlifting, but that's not because I set out to have weightlifting. That just kind of fell.
Your
on our-
weightlifting's a
That's
very
unique
different
scenario.
experience.
But that's what
yeah.
I'm saying. So
He's got one of the best weightlifters in the world
Oh, cool.
running a program out of his gym. It's not diversifying.
But that's
your
what I'm
energy.
saying.
Yeah.
That-
There's
is that-
seasons for that.
Right, and I'm not
Just
upset
have to
about
get
it, and I'm really glad that they're there. I like that. I like the dynamic. Phil is an amazing human being, and he's really good at what he does. But that's unique. I wouldn't try to replicate that. That was a right place, right time, right people, right phase of their lives. It works. Cool. We're continuing to grow that. But outside of that, I wouldn't be doing any other programs. And I'm not going to. Right, to the point where we were talking. You guys were doing some things in here, at which point your husband was just like, I'm going to go across the street. Or did you kick him out? I don't know how that actually
He
went.
definitely was not kicked out. No.
Well, we went in this other
Wink,
room. There's
wink.
some baseball stuff. So
Yeah,
clearly
and
he
some
was
golf
trying
stuff.
to.
Well, I think
Yeah.
you weren't there when we were talking outside. So geographically, so you own CrossFit Hendersonville is right here. If I had a baseball, I could throw it across the
You hit the-
street.
you hit the
Come
and I
building.
close. You'd come close. I
I
don't know
could
if you
hit
can get it
if
all
I
the
throw
way.
with my offhand. But he owns a sports performance facility across the street.
Yes, him and a partner run Framework Athletics. So it was 3 years ago, they set up 4 cages in here, and then all the kids, the athletes would come in from like 6 to 9 p.m. and train. And so he was testing, just like I kind of tested the waters of CrossFit for a year, built a little business. So he built a little book of business and then moved across the way. And so now they're all like youth specific sport training.
And how cool is that? Because that's what you and I talk about all the time. We talk about start small. Like everybody wants to start in this spot, and then you can't. I mean, you can if you have the right funding, maybe. But
here's the deal: if the vibe would be, it would
'Cause you'd be
suck.
so
Your
stressed
2%
about-
classes
right.
there with crickets.
Yeah,
that would
right.
be that is quite literally a nightmare that I have. Is like walking into a gym and there's like 2 people in this massive space running a class, and that gives me anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me anxiety. I'm like, no, that's not what I was
not gonna
looking
work
for.
out
No,
later.
I'm like, this is not going well.
You start small, whether in a church or whether you're, subleasing a spot.
Garage.
And garage, and you slowly. We have plenty of affiliate U clients literally starting in the garage
Great.
and then moving on to bigger and better things, just like this.
What do you think is one of the key things that you need to do to continue that growth and take care of the staff?
Yeah, create a killer team. I mean, all my energy and focus, especially now stepping out of coaching, is to pour into them.
Yeah.
So if I can kind of train them up, raise them up right, and then they can then pour into the community. I think I've learned through the team that's been with me a decade that is.
Do you like that? Do you think that's fun?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's fun.
I mean,
I'm doing the same thing, and I think this is the most fun I've ever had in the affiliate ever.
And naturally, I'm just a person who like really enjoys a few like really good tight friendships. I'm not one of those people that needs a ton of friends and needs to be the center of attention and all that.
I got no
Jay
friends.
doesn't have any
So I
friends.
can
for
have
that
like
reason.
if I can pour into like a little circle, little
Yeah.
crew of people, that's just more fulfilling for me personally too.
What do you do to get the buy-in from them? In other words, I think a lot of affiliates struggle to develop their coaches because they don't want to show up, they don't want to do extra. How do you facilitate that in them?
I think being present a lot, just spending time with them, whether it's sending them a card in the mail or hanging out with them after class.
You send your
and
coaches
we still do old school cards. Like
for what?
Attaboy. So we send all our athletes cards too. Attaboys, like, hey.
Yep.
What would you do to deserve And what would it take to get an attaboy?
So
You'll never get one, but I
I'm
want
So
going
there-
to hit the 4 o'clock class. I want to know what I have to do.
There is a certain time frame that I will lead the coaches to complete their attaboys.
So they help you with that, the coaches.
So they send all of, and this is, it's that personal relationship thing. They send them all to their athletes enrolled in their classes.
Got it.
So Maddie should send mine, is what you're
Yeah.
suggesting.
Yeah, you'll get one next week.
Yeah.
I'll leave my address.
It'll just say
It'll be in the
most
waiver.
improved. Most,
You did great for your first CrossFit class. So, been doing this for
you're
15
clearly
years.
new to this. Yeah.
So, and you keep bringing that up. Is you said the 5 a.m. 5 days a week? Does every coach have their own specific time so they become their members, or is there a little?
Yeah, this is
bleed over?
interesting. So most through the decade of the crew of the 4 old coaches, I call them old.
Veteran coaches.
They're all older than me, which is also cool. Like I was like the young guy leading the
is
4
cool.
coaches older than me, but they had a consistent schedule. So like Chad coached 5, Billy coached 6, all the way across. Shannon coached 8. So this is a new season. Now we're flip-flopping it. We're kind of taking what we got, the schedule and the team that we've got, and now they're sharing. So I've got a girl. I also think this is important too, a male coach and a female coach for the 4 o'clock. So that the guy can pour into the dudes, the girl can, and so there's some relationship, I think, help that I get by doing male and female. So now they're sharing.
That's
So
cool.
we'll see.
That's really
So
cool.
who's with
To be
Maddie?
determined.
Today.
Miller, who was the other gentleman down here. He's the physical therapist that just
Okay.
got,
So double
gig working
intern on the 4 o'clock class.
Miller is an official coach
he's
now.
official
So
now.
he finished last summer or last fall.
Is there a ceremony
got his
for
doctorate.
that? Do you do anything?
No,
No ceremony?
Yeah.
No, like, do they get a special T-shirt?
no special T-shirt. I guess we used to give out some coach T-shirts. Yeah.
What do you get them for
But
the
no,
holidays?
no.
What do you get your coaches for the?
Usually some cash.
That'll do it.
Best
I
gift
want
of
a
all.
coach here.
That's
Can't
why
go
they're
wrong
here.
with
That's why they're
Christmas bonus cash.
I want to switch gears real quick, and I want to talk about the Open because clearly you guys crushed it. So
288.
that's so awesome.
So fun.
So with regard to 2 things, like how did you guys build that up, and this is such a pain point in the affiliate space. It's like such a sore subject. Some people are all in. Some people are like, this is the worst time of year. I hate it. Clearly, you guys are crushing it with regard to the Open. So what have you guys structured around that so that people get really excited about that? Because I think the Open is an amazing thing, and it's now become the cool thing to hate on and bash. And this is kind of a sore spot for me because I love the Open, but to some degree I get it. So teach us something. Like, what are you guys doing to make the Open so awesome here?
So that the coach role comes in again. So there's a class versus class competition. That's
nice.
what has worked best in the last couple of years. We've done the Open all sorts of ways, whether we did like 4 big teams and we all had like everybody pick your own member out of the whole pile of 200 athletes,
Right.
But the class versus class thing, because that coach had such an influence in their hour and with those relationships, that we find the fittest class. So
Which was that this year?
great.
5 a.m.
the 5 a.m. was the 5 a.m. was the winning class the first year, and every class has shirts. So the 5 a.m. got the white shirts. So we pulled in like the game, like the white,
that's
leader
cool.
shirt. So then we determine, like, we tally up the top 10 scores from each class, and then we compare them. We leaderboard it, we post it, and then that way they can get, if you have 10 people that are fired up to get on the leaderboard and like another 10 or 15 that are their buddies, like cheering them on, like we're definitely not a performance gym. We're much more of like this average Joe, which is, that's what 22.3, the team came in here and called us. We were supposed to be the average Joes.
That's awesome.
So I feel the class thing. Haven't always done that, but that's worked best in the last few years.
During the Open, do you run the Open throughout the day?
Yep. And so everybody wears their class color shirt that we give, and we buy that for them for free. Like, they're not paying for that shirt.
You're giving every
single member.
So the Open
over
actually
300
costs you money.
Actually, $305. We buy a shirt even if they didn't sign up,
So
in hopes that they
15
would
bucks.
sign up.
And
Those
dangle
50
it.
people-
This should have
You
been
know what?
yours.
The athletes,
They have to pay for their shirt. if they
their
didn't.
classmates, they would just hold that shirt up and be like, "What are you doing?"
Peer pressure. It's the
But
thing.
you gifted 305
And
ish.
we did that last year too.
Wow.
And let me tell you this too. I think this is different from our community. So 2020, we were shut down 6 weeks. So I know we got like the sweet
That's
end
not
of the
bad,
deal
yeah.
for all of the world. But only 30 people dropped membership, and of half of those, somebody picked it up for them.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Crazy, like financially, how they supported us. And so for the last couple of years, we've been in this state of like really just giving back because they showed us so much love and support. So I used to charge for clinics and challenges, all that sort of stuff, and charge for their t-shirt and whatnot. And we're kind of getting back into that season now where I will. But for the last couple of years, it's been give, and it has not hurt.
But so there's something important about that. So obviously you have a financial transaction with inside the business, and I'm glad you said that you're gonna come back to that in some way, shape, or form. And I know a lot of people would hear the thing about the shirts and they'd be like, oh, it cost you money. And my contention is no. That's not an expense. That is an investment
to bring everyone together.
Right.
Like
that is an investment to bring everybody together. And then you guys are, not charging for clinics and workshops and all that kind of stuff. That gives you the equity to then circle back to that. And then you will have massive buy-in on that whenever you do decide it.
I mean, so we gave them a free shirt in 2021. And then we're the top.
Yeah, you get 300 people to register.
Everybody's
for the
fired up about. So they do the workout during their class hour. There's heat 1, then heat 2. They're judging each other, count for each other, however you want to call it.
And I think, and the point is not the T-shirt, right? So somebody's listening, they're like, I can't afford T-shirts. And I'm like, that's not the point. It's not about the T-shirt, right? It's about the transaction, right? Meaning like it's about me trying to give you something, trying to show some sort of expression of gratitude to you. It doesn't have to be a t-shirt. It doesn't have to cost you $1,000. It could just be something very, very simple. It could be like stickers. It could be anything. It's the thought that counts is more along the lines of is what's important about that. And I think I don't want that to be lost because I think some people could just hear what you said and be like, oh, well, they just buy t-shirts and those are registered. I'm like, no. This is way past that.
Yeah. They know our heart's in it. When we send them a card or when we, coach sends them a text, it's a very genuine, heartfelt people around here.
Right. And I bet you the people who would judge that don't have 305 members in a beautiful building like this.
Right. There's some people who don't want 300 members. And I'm like, no, you just haven't figured out how to do it yet. Right. Which is
paying
fine.
it forward or backward or however it goes. It's a give and take relationship. And you've clearly done a phenomenal job with that.
CrossFit is such an easy space to do it in.
Right.
Agreed.
And it's fun,
And you kind of mentioned it earlier, but there are seasons.
Yeah.
Meaning of your affiliate life. Mm-hmm. Some of them involve me, people giving to me, and then there's seasons when it's my job to give back. Mm-hmm. And I think if you only look at it through the lens of like transaction where they need to pay, we charge for everything, all that kind of stuff, you're missing the boat. And if that might be your season to be giving so that you can get through to the next level, whatever that might be, but you're not going to get there without giving back. Like it's not happening,
To have 22, the team come in here, 22.3 was a party.
Hello and welcome to the 22.3 open announcement brought to you by our friends at Thorn. This week we are back in an affiliate, baby, and these guys aren't your average affiliate. This is CrossFit Hendersonville in Tennessee. I'm your host, Kayla Banfield, and I am honored to be on this journey with you.
I mean, that was like the coolest gift.
Talk to us about that because that sounds amazing. That's like my dream is to have a road come and strip the space.
When Wilson called me, I was just like
Wilson Tang.
Wilson Tang. I was actually in Nicaragua with Scott doing a mission trip down there. But we Zoomed, and one of the first things through my head was like, oh my goodness, our people are going to be so stoked. And I was so excited that they bought into signing up. And I was just so proud of them. And I'm like, look at the gift because you signed up, because you spent your $20. Like, look what you guys get to have.
An open event, $20.
Yeah.
People would gladly pay for that.
Front row seats.
So before we wrap up, give us one story of a member here where they had a life-changing experience.
Oh, 15 years of this stuff. There's a lot of that. My favorite thing about being a coach, being an owner, is seeing the friendships form. It's like people doing life together. And I think one of the coolest experiences, so Scott, I just mentioned, he's Get Strong Ministries. He was the bald guy.
Representing a shirt right there.
So he's down in Nicaragua and he's trying to teach people about fitness in this part of the world where they can like pay 10 cents to come to class sort of setup. And one time we were able to raise $10,000 in a matter of a few hours to be able to buy them a truck to fund teams or be able to have a team come down there and travel around the city and go in to help people and give them food and water, whatever they needed. And so that was, and those, and I pick a coach because again, I'm one of those people that like really wants to dive into my team. So the day before, he was out of town, he was in Nicaragua, and within a matter of hours, we were able to bring in people to do a specific workout just for him. So his like scripture that he stands on is 1 Timothy 4:8. So I made this workout all about
What is that
4
scripture?
rounds and 8.
I know it, but just tell the listeners.
Yeah. so you don't want to take the floor here?
No, it's your show. Go ahead. Is this
so,
Ezekiel 20? No, that was close.
He's,
So it's like
he's
all
Jewish.
about-
It doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about like training and godliness. Like your spiritual walk is of the most importance. Training physically, yes, it's important, but spiritually and training and godliness is what it's all about.
That's right. You're right.
1 Timothy 4:8. So that was like so we told everybody on like a Friday. The event was on Sunday within those like 48 hours, 24, 48, somewhere around there, because it was a surprise event. We had 100 people show up, and they poured into Scott, which is one of their coaches, one of their guys that they want to get behind, and raise $10,000 just in a matter of like hours. And so that was, and he got to, and this is a pay it forward thing that we were mentioning. He got to then take that, put it into a truck that now fuels like teams that come in month after month to come on trips to help people in a country, in a place where they really need a lot of help. They don't live like us down there. So to see that go into another country, that was life-changing for Scott. It helped fuel his ministry and actually build his team down there. So, I could have picked like, somebody who's lost 100 pounds and somebody who's battling, who battled prostate cancer. We've got those stories, of course. But I think the most special thing to me has been like that team of coaches, and really seeing the coaches take their gifts and put them into their classes. And that's really what's fueled and ran our gym so well. And so, yeah, that was really special to me. He's a good friend of mine. My coaches are all good friends. And I think that touched him. It touched our community because they all got to chip into something bigger that was going out of our box into another country.
One thing that one of our mentors, Chuck Carswell, says is big team, little me. And I think you exemplify that here. And it's of no surprise that your affiliate is as
Thriving.
successful. Yeah. It's all about you take care of your team, they take care of the rest, and you're doing a fantastic job here.
Yeah.
Truly world class.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
We're going to hop into this.
I feel like this needs to end with a hug.
Maybe.
Come on, bring it in.
Yeah, bring it
So
in.
much heart, so much heart.
That was really
heart.
great.
Big team, little me.
Good
This
to
is
meet you, boys.
no, this
Thanks
is
for
awesome.
coming
Thank you.
on.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for having
You're
us.
welcome.
Great to meet you.
You're welcome.
Always good to see shining examples of CrossFit affiliates around the world. And take note, everybody. There's some really good stuff going on here, so keep it up and keep leading the way.
And we'll
Thanks
let you
for
know.
having us.
We'll let you know if Maddie makes the cut.
Okay. Eval after class.
I told you you were gonna love this episode because nothing is more exciting and rewarding and fulfilling than hearing about other people crushing it. Hearing especially about other affiliate owners doing the right things for the right people. That's really the recipe for success. Coach Glassman said it from day one. You do the right things for the right people, you will be successful. If you chase excellence, the money will follow. But if you chase that dollar, you're not necessarily going to hit excellence, and you're not necessarily going to do right by your people. Take care of your people, and they will take care of you. That's exactly what Lindsey spoke about here on this episode. Now, I told you earlier, you got to hear the interview coming up Friday. You're going to want to tune in. Look, we're setting all of our videos ahead of time to premiere. Look, our boy Kanan, he knows when they come out. But again, I want other people to try to beat him to those comments. But we do that so you can click that little notify button, and right away, you'll know when that episode's premiering. And I'm one of the people watching it along with you. I go through all of the editing, but then I love just watching it along with everybody and seeing those comments come in. So please, if you haven't already, head over to the YouTube. When you see a premiere set, click that notify button so you know exactly when that episode goes live, because we got that great episode of Dropping In at CrossFit Hendersonville coming at you this Friday. You're going to love it. Thanks for everything. On behalf of the Best Hour team, I'm Ackerman, and I'm out of here.
Thanks for listening to this episode, and we want to thank our partner and sponsor, O2. If you're an affiliate owner and have questions about carrying O2 in your facility or interested in a free refrigerator, go to wholesale.drinko2.com/pages/best-hour-offer for more details. Thanks for checking out this episode of the Best Hour of Their Day podcast. We appreciate you listening and choosing to have us help you in your passion for coaching and affiliate ownership. You can find more episodes just like this on all podcast platforms. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to us on any social media platforms, or you can visit www.besthouroftheirday.com to book a call. If you found this episode helpful for you, please share it so that we can help other coaches and affiliate owners to help build a bigger and stronger CrossFit community. Thanks for listening.